Ben Shapiro, when he was your age, was advocating like borderline genocide that actually happened. Like, how is that not worse than, like, let's just say hypothetically, not saying this is your view, and I'd still like to stay on YouTube for a little longer, but not that there's anyone's view, but let's say somebody didn't believe that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, but they did. Like, let's just say that that is the starting point, that 6 million Jews, to the T, not 6 million one, exactly 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and someone says, I don't believe it. Why is that the most horrible thing ever? It's like, it's over, it's done with, I don't know what to say, it happened, but you don't really believe it happened, like, whatever. Again, not saying you, just hypothetically, some person. It's like, yet someone else is advocating a genocide that then happens. Why am I supposed to be more outraged by this one?
That Max says, if I take 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies and Cookie Monster has 15 ovens working 24 hours a day every day for 5 years, how long does it take Cookie Monster to make 6 million batches of cookies? I don't know. That's a good question. Certainly, oh, no. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up there. I don't think you'd result in 6 million. Maybe 200 to 300,000 cookies. And I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies baked. Probably. And in addition, you know, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies, and the smokestacks would project certain shadows, but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens. Moreover, if you look at the soil texture, it's really not deep enough for mass cookie storage underground. And so there's a lot of things, you know, in the cookie kitchen, they say that the ovens are wooden and they have windows on them and they're not totally secure. And the ovens that they use, they actually did sort of an ad hoc use of that particular kind of oven, even though they made a perfectly good design for ovens for a different purpose, for delousing. I mean, you know, for something else. So none of it really adds up. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really make sense, this crazy cookie analogy. You have to be, that's sort of an esoteric story. That's from Cookie Right. You wouldn't understand that if you're just sort of passing through, if you're just a normie. So 6 million cookies, I don't buy it.
But the weirdest thing about this kind of Holocaust, like, oh my God, you're not allowed to talk about that, is that it's not like this was a peaceful world and then a few million Jews died. It's within the context of a world war where 65 million people died. Yet we're just supposed to pick this one part of it and go, nobody's allowed to talk about this, and this is the most sensitive subject ever. Because I've been told so many people, you're one of them, but a whole bunch of people, oh, this guy's evil and this guy's horrible. And then I talk to him and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not really seeing it. Maybe I'm missing something and I'm just like the ignorant one, but all these people, and it's been friends of mine from Gavin McGinnis, Anthony Cumia. Owen Benjamin.
Hi, I'm Owen Benjamin. I never denied the Holocaust, but I now realize how hurtful it was when I questioned the number. So it turns out the Holocaust was in fact not 9 gay guys who died in a rollerblading accident. It was 1 billion who died at the hands of hate, and the hateful were all of us for eternity. I deeply apologize, Jews. I'm here for you, and I hope this helps. I know it helped me. I know it helped me a lot. Now let me refresh all my accounts. Thank you very much. And again, I'm really sorry. I truly had no idea how much one question could really, kick a hornet's nest. My bad. I got your back, guys. 1 billion. the will of the Fuhrer. That's what they claim. They claim because they have no evidence that Adolf Hitler ordered the Holocaust. Zero evidence. Zero. There's evidence of persecution, that they weren't allowed in certain areas and I don't know, shit like that. But there was no evidence that he ordered the Holocaust. There's no logical sense. There's no way you could cremate bodies at that pace. There's no evidence. Like you see them getting on trains because they're evacuating. They're going to concentration camps, but it's because there was mass city evacuation because of bombing and shit. And so when they ran out of food or they got typhoid, they died and they looked real skinny and crazy.
Owen Benjamin's a good friend of mine, and all these people tell me like these horrible people. It's like, no, I met him. Good dad, really nice guy. Turns out not at all what you're telling me he is. So I would just encourage people to just try to tune out the propaganda a little bit and make judgments for yourself. I think that's a good starting point.
Well, yeah, and it goes back even to what we were saying at the top of this show, which is about the interesting people getting deplatformed. That way, if you're not branded a thought criminal or whatever, well, what does that make you? That makes you somebody that is parroting all the talking points of the elite. It's all the people that are running the show. And to me, not only is that boring, but that's wrong, because we can see that the society is going in a bad direction. I think everybody almost agrees. I think that's why you're seeing this horseshoe theory type stuff of, Bernie Sanders on one side and us on another. And, there's all kinds of other fringe political people. But I don't think anybody thinks that the trajectory we're on is a good one. And so the only people that are not called that, the only people that are not put on the list are people that are perpetuating the governing ideology. And so, yeah, I think it is good to encourage people to check out, who are the blacklisted voices, who are the ones that are defamed and called all the names and whatever, because all that is a linguistic political tool. It's like, well, you could go back 25 years and say, oh, well, somebody like attacking Jewish people in the street with Doc Martens and a shaved head. Well, those are probably not okay people. But fast forward 30 years and somebody says, well, I think all these Jewish neocons advocating for wars that benefit Israel is probably not a good foreign policy. These are not the same. And they're not as morally compelling to everybody else that's supposed to buy into it.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool.
Let's pick a simple yes or no answer. Hitler, good guy, bad guy?
That's a top. Well, there are no good and bad guys. They're just people.
Well, that's not true, dude.
It is true.
I mean, so if you had to check one box...
I'm going to say I'm neutral on that. I'm abstaining from
There's
that
no
one.
neutral.
You're saying that Hitler was not a bad guy?
I think that, it's a
But then
world
you're
war.
questioning why people may not want you talking?
There's
I'm
a
giving
lot,
you a platform.
Look, if we're going to say Hitler bad, then I'm going to say Churchill bad, and I'm going to say Roosevelt bad, and I'm going to say they're all bad. But if we look at him as a product of his time in that moment, we have to judge him with those things in mind. That's all.
Okay.
I don't know. Him writing a book specifically talking about the demise of the Jews, I think it makes it a little different as far as the way we judge him, because I don't remember Winston Churchill doing that.
Have you ever read it?
I actually have. I've read Mein Kampf. It
doesn't
seems like the ramblings of a 9-year-old, actually. That's what it comes off as. But the thing is, the reason why I would say he's bad is probably because David Irving actually admitting that he misinterpreted a memo about sending a group of Jews on a train from Berlin to the Eastern Front. And David Irving said, you need to stop all Jews from being liquidated. That was Adolf Hitler's word. And he actually admits that he misinterpreted it. And it was to stop one group of Jews from being liquidated, meaning that the Nazis were liquidating Jews. That's why I would say they were probably bad people.
Well, I can't even offer a rebuttal because my position is banned in 20 countries and it also happens to be banned on that platform. But I'm sure that's just because your position is really strong and necessary, and not because it's bullshit.
It could be, or it could have been Adolf Eichmann.
What happened to David Irving? After torture. But what happened to David Irving? Do you know?
Yeah, no, I do know what happened to David Irving.
Tell us. What happened?
He lost a defamation case.
They put together a legal team to go over line by line every word of his books, and they come up with a dozen discrepancies. He's made volumes and volumes. They come up with a dozen things, none of them really important, all of them a matter of interpretation, but they destroy the man's life. And I asked myself, because then I interrogate the subject and I find evidence that maybe the Holocaust isn't as it seems. And then I think about the term, if I go out and say that, I get called a Holocaust denier.
I think Nick is an incredibly talented broadcaster or whatever. I think that makes me sound old when I say broadcaster, but streamer,
yeah.
Sure. I think an incredible talent.
There is no intention on the Israeli side to cause the death of non-combatants.
Oh, come on. I mean,
hang on.
Listen.
What you
okay.
think? Why do you think the Israelis would want to go and kill children in Gaza?
Listen. Let me just. How about I say it like this, okay? And by the way, when I say it like this, I'm not claiming that disputes between nations are the same as handling dispute domestically. I'm just saying on the idea of intentionality or who wants to do this or whatever. Look, even if you had the right, let's say somebody broke onto your property and killed some of your family members and you want to go kill this guy. If he goes back to his apartment building and you know that there's women and children in that apartment building, and so your move is to blow up the building, what you would be charged with is murder in the first degree. Cold-blooded, premeditated, intentional murder. And you could sit there and tell the judge, I didn't want to kill all those people. Why would I want to kill all of those people? I just had to kill that one guy. But that's bullshit. That's not what counts. You did it intentionally. You dropped a bomb knowing that there were women and children in that building. You're taking an action knowing that these innocent people are going to die. Then that is by definition intentional. And you could sit here and talk about, and it is true, there have been documented cases of Hamas placing missiles in mosques and in schools and things like that. But when you look at the aerial footage of Gaza, that does not describe every single strike that Israel has launched. There have been tons of bombs dropped where it's simply, and we have very good reporting on this, where they've literally just have information that they believe with some degree of certainty that a couple of Hamas militants are in this building. And so they blow up the building. That is intentionally murdering innocent people. And if you're going to advocate for this war, I don't see how you can do it without saying that, like, at least bite the bullet that Madeleine Albright did when she was asked, we've played this clip on the show before, when she's point blank asked about the sanctions on Iraq and our 500,000 children, is that price acceptable? And she said, yes, we believe that price is acceptable. You're saying if you're going to support this war, this is the price of it. So why can't you just say, yes, that price is acceptable? Because then we could have a real conversation about why the other side is going to look at you like a monster.
I think that people have been indoctrinated by very bad actors. You probably know what bubbles up underneath you online by now. The aims of Hamas, their stated aims, include the annihilation of the Jewish people. And October the 7th, they had their best go at doing that.